Okay, I think we're live. So, welcome to Beyond the Cloud today, everybody. I hope everybody is having a wonderful week and still keeping your humor through this new life that we're in, or new reality, or new whatever we want to call it, and that you're not alcoholics yet. so, let's just join, I guess, start off by just going where we'll introduce ourselves. And I don't know. I have no idea what question. We usually do a question. I don't know. So we'll introduce ourselves and I'm gonna like call somebody out. Whoever wants to go first can think of a question that we can all answer.
Oh,
Ooh, not Stacy, obviously.
no.
Okay, fine. I'll just start. I'll just whatever comes in first. So Tanya Hills, Cloud Bookkeeping Services, and Tanya's Bookkeepers Bootcamp. And if you could have a mascot for your firm, what would it be? Haha. So we actually have two mascots. I have one right here, and the other one never made it up from the basement yet. So here's our one mascot.
Oh,
So this is Rosie Kins. So we have a beagle called Rosie, and the same week we got the beagle Rosie, we got Rosie Kins. Oh, I'm like, who's there? It's just Elizabeth. So we got little Rosie Kins for Elizabeth, and now she's 18. She's outgrown Rosie Kins. So Rosie Kins has now come into the office because Rosie is our office manager. Our other office mascot has probably he's been punished downstairs in the basement for a little while because he doesn't know how to behave when people come over, which was fine when people weren't here. But when people do come over, he doesn't know how to behave. And that is Peanut. And anybody who watches Jeff Dunham knows who Peanut is and knows Peanut has a mouth. So Peanut he's in a timeout for now. So those would be our mascots. So we will go clockwise. So Stacy, you're next.
oh, well, I'm Stacy Stanley Young from Stanley Young Business Strategies in Winnipeg. And if Stanley Young Business Strategies had a mascot, I don't know. We have a couple of office managers, Munchkin and S'more, cats. We like cats. We could use some more cats. Um, hmm. If I wanted to go, truly business, I would say a tree because our current logo symbolizes a tree and growth.
If you
So
want to
I'm
go
gonna.
personality and fun. Oh, I see one of the mascots in the background.
It would, yeah,
Making
it
sure
would,
people are working today.
yeah, it would have to be a purple tree if we wanted to be, fun and bring in the personality. I opened up one of my birthday presents, and it was definitely a theme. I got a purple pen and a purple Sharpie and a purple mouse and purple paper. So whatever mascot it is, it has to be purple.
Well, your cat's not purple. So are we going to see him purple next time? There is
Maybe.
safe, natural purple dye, manic panic. Is
I'm sure it would be quite safe for the cats. I'm not sure that the claws would be quite safe for the humans trying to do it.
good point. Good point. All right, Jennifer, your turn.
Oh, there, now I'm unmuted. Hi, Jennifer Solon, Time Advantage Accounting Solutions out of Red Deer, Alberta. Um, well, our logo is a clock, so I guess our mascot would be a clock. I don't know what kind of clock. Probably, usually a stopwatch or a pocket watch. But yeah, I don't know.
That's okay.
We work in an office, so we don't have any cats. If I was at home, the dog would be here, but he's not very friendly. So, but
Yes. So in other words, if you want to work for Jennifer, it's time. You better be on time. Be
time. Well, it's time advantage. It's so the kind of slogan is use my time to your advantage. Just do what you do best and hire other people to do the rest. Use my time to your advantage. Yeah, that's kind of the 5-minute elevator pitch that was originally created.
So now I have to try to think of what voice I'm going to put with this like dancing clock mascot I have in my head.
Wait, I get you kind of think Beauty and the Beast and the little clock guy going around. Yeah.
Lemure, isn't it? Lemure, isn't that his
I
name?
don't know.
Oh no, Lemire is the candlestick.
It will be the candlestick.
That's
Yeah.
But she didn't tell me who the clock was. Sorry, Cogsworth. Yeah,
Cogsworth.
that makes
Yes.
sense because there's cogs in the clock.
Cogsworth. Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
So you have Cogsworth as your
Sure. That works.
awesome. Now I can see because I like personalities. I can envision personalities. So yes, awesome. All right, Carol. You want my peanut, don't you? You want peanut. I know you want, and you're muted by the way, but you want peanut because peanut would suit your personality perfect. I could just see.
Oh, you see in the background?
I could see. Well, oh, your M&Ms. That's right. But no, I'm saying like Jeff Dunham's peanut. I could see you and Jeff Dunham's peanut though having conversations all day long.
I swear, what are you talking about? See, this is the peanut gallery.
It is.
And here in my corner, which my husband still hasn't put it up, but this is the.
Well, and you know what? She put a picture of her office meeting on Facebook, and I said, you know what? I've got some issues with that, like some concerns, because the red one, he's got some shifty eyes. He looks like he'd be challenging everything and up to no good. He looks like he's
To be after your drinking night.
I was going to say it's BC, you know, marijuana. And then the red one, as long as you've got like, you know, you'd have to be, or sorry, not the red one, the green one, you'd really have to worry about your fraternization policy, that you've got a real good, you know, fraternization policy, because she looks like she could be, you know, quite the flirt.
Yeah, the only one I don't have is the blue one, and I've never been able to find it. Well, I found them once when I was in London, but no, I was not going to pay 250 pounds for one that was smaller than that. Yeah, Stacy, that's kind of like what I did too. Yeah, 250 pounds.
Pounds. That would be like $500.
Well, 1.6, but yeah.
Yeah.
It was a few years ago, but yeah, it was, I got a little keychain. That biggest.
So
Wow.
real quick, Sarah's just added in, she's like a psychotic tired squirrel would be her office right now, because she's got the attention span of a squirrel because it's crazy. And that sounds like she's exhausted too. So.
My husband wonders why I go upstairs, sit down and turn on the TV. And he's like, can you help me with dinner? I'm like,
You're like, no, that's your job now.
well, he's retired for 4 years now, right? But when he was working, he worked 6, 7, 8 days a week, 12, 14 hours a day. And so I worked full time and did all that. And
So now he can be retired and do all that, right?
well, in the beginning, I would come home from work and he would go, what's for dinner? So it became eggs, pancakes.
Cereal and milk.
I said, you're home all day. Well, I'm busy. I said, well, I'm not here. So you can cook or we will have eggs and pancakes.
Right.
So now he does all the cooking.
All right, Jessica, your turn.
Okay, I've been working, so I only caught some tail end, something about a mascot.
Yeah, the question is, if you could have a mascot for your office, what would your mascot be? Or maybe you do have a mascot. So either what is your mascot or what would it be?
Well, I'm Jessica Fox, Pandora Fox on Facebook from Florida, virtual bookkeeper. And my logo is a calculator, so one would think that it will be a calculator mascot. My logo is a calculator saying help. But according to my kids,
Oh, we've lost it. We totally lost your audio.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you now.
Okay.
So according to your
according
kids.
to my kids, it would be a Demogorgon. And for those of you that don't know, this is the monster from the Netflix show Stranger Things.
I thought, I'm like, it looks familiar, but I couldn't place it. But yes.
Because it's cute. It's not plush. It's not like the actual real life thing that is meant to be scary.
Right.
I have a lot.
Oh. No, she's gone. She'll be back. Oh, there you are. Oh, gone, back.
Sorry, thunderstorm in my area.
You know what? This is what it's like with Zoom in our new world right now. Everybody's on it all the time, everywhere. So
No, I mean, it's been thundering in here, so the internet probably, got glitchy.
Right.
But yeah, I'm back. So that was that. Now I am very geeky. I do have lots of stuff along on my desk. So my newest mascot, according to my kids, because I got this for my birthday a few days ago. This is Goose, a flurkin from Captain Marvel. And it's really a cat. So this is normal Goose. And when he goes into flurkin mode.
Yes, I remember that cat. Yep, very cute. Awesome. I was going to say, and something, if you had a calculator, I envisioned it made out of Lego.
You know, that would make sense. And I do have in my little Lego desk, I don't have a calculator just because I use the computer now. I actually got rid of my actual calculator, but my little Lego office does have, and I just knocked everything over off of it. But it's got the computer with dual monitors.
Oh, there you go.
And there I am drinking my Lego coffee. And I just knocked off the chair and other stuff.
It's just, you know what? I think that kind of goes and falls in line with the week Kathy's had. So there we go. All right, Kathy, your turn.
I'm Kathy Badger, CSB Creative Business Solutions in Edmonton, Alberta. I have not mascots, I have office mates. So I have a pair of 16-year-old Bichon Shih Tzus that are my office cohorts. So they are what hangs out. Then everybody wants their life because they just get to hang out and sleep. So when we're having a rough day, all my clients are like, oh, we want to work with you. That's great. You just hang out and sleep. It's all good.
You need to show us what they look like. They look so cute, I'm sure.
Let me see if they're even here. They are.
Oh.
Let's see if I can do this. You'll have to tell me whether or not you can see them.
Oh. They're cutting in at the background.
Oh.
And the Zoom background's trying to cover them, so we can see a little bit.
Didn't work.
No, it's a little flash.
Yeah.
They're cute.
See if I could. Yeah, they are sweet. But they're litter mates, so they've never been apart.
Oh.
Forever and ever.
Awesome. Yeah, so you know what, if you have, I know Ron Baker talks about having a pricing partner, you know, sometimes somebody to do your pricing, like, you know, when you're pricing somebody to bounce it off of, and they would make very good pricing partners, and they would probably be very agreeable most of the time too.
The only time they get upset is when it's a decision that they don't totally fall in with, as in we're changing rooms.
Right. They're like, hang on,
location.
I never agreed to get up and move. Yeah, I know. I get those looks from Rosie, not Rosie Kins, the real Rosie, when she likes to sit on my foot. I don't know why. I don't know if she wants me to stay longer, but she literally will plunk her butt, not just the corner of her leg, not just her tail, her butt will plunk on my foot. And it's like, you know, it's like, is that dirty or like clean or... But so I've got to wiggle my foot out from her, but for some reason she just likes it. And yeah, she gets very, very upset. And I think that's probably to try to keep me from moving. To be like, hey, you know what? If I sit on your foot, it's not going to be as easy for you to move now, is it? Yeah. So I'd like to talk about like and I know that 3 or 4, or most of you, but we don't have Jessica's input on this or anybody else out there watching. So I'd love to get some input and see what you guys are doing, what you guys feel about this. So I'm like 99% sure I'm doing this. Every time I talk to somebody, it's a few percent more. But so with everything going on with COVID, I've been helping my clients for free. I have not charged them extra. In Canada, I haven't charged anything extra for all. I've been doing like their help for all the calculations. I know in the US, you guys have loans down there that, again, different calculations, but it's still support that you would have to provide to your clients to help figure out why, you know, is there any, you know, auditing, you have to audit, you know, some of the stuff. Can some of these loans only be used for, you know, certain purchases or certain, you know, non-deferrable operating expenses? So I think some of the like the main rule, like what we have to do to help support is probably very similar. So up until now, I've not been charging at all for any of it. But because our CEWS, which is our basically almost like our paycheck protection program, the PPP, similar to that, except for it's actually come in the form, instead of a loan, it's come in the form of a wage subsidy that's reimbursable by the government if you hit certain, income reductions. So those calculations I've just been doing, again, at no charge, filing for the client. That's been extended from 3 months now to the end of August. So now I'm starting to sit there thinking, okay, well, you know what, if we're continuing on, that's something that my clients, I've had conversations with them that it's all out of scope. I'm, covering all of this stuff at free. Part of it was because I didn't want to, try to let the clients have that conversation about, well, you're not working for me, let's drop your price. So I wanted to be able to give some value back, create loyalty by helping really to keep their businesses afloat. But now that we're kind of settling in, again, we don't know how long we're going to be settling in for, what's going to continue to go. So I'm 99.9% sure now. It since I started this, sentence or the, conversation, I've already like upped it 0.9%, but then I'm going to start charging. It might be different per client depending on, how many employees they have or the calculations, but actually start charging going forward and say, listen, you guys can do it yourself for free. If you want me to continue onwards, I will charge for it. So that's kind of where I'm sitting. I know there's some people out there like Hector Garcia. When I was on Friday Night Live with accountants with Andrew and Brad, I think it was Hector that chimed in and said, no, absolutely, you should be charging for this. It's all out of scope work. He's been charging since the beginning. I felt it was more of, kind of like marketing, equity into marketing and, loyalty for my clients, which is why I didn't do it at that point. But like I said, I kind of started to resent COVID a little bit and all the extra work that it's thrown. And so it's kind of like when you get back to, what is it going to take to get me out of bed and get me to want to work on it, basically. So it's kind of the mindset I'm starting to think. So I'd love to hear what you guys feel, what you guys have done. Anybody who wants to come and join on the call, the link is there. Anybody who wants to type in to the comments, please feel free to type in because I'd love to hear what everybody else is doing and feeling about it. So I will open
I am charging.
Oh.
Yeah. Go ahead, Carol, I guess.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, with one client that I'm in the middle of doing a setup for on QBO. And of course they came across, they were trying to do it, couldn't figure it out. So again, that sort of loyalty, I would like to be able to get your bookkeeping business. So let me do this to help you. It was sort of, if I have to do the whole thing, it's $500 for the 3 months, the 3 periods. Or if I just, total it up and give you the numbers and you go do the application, I'll do it for $150. So it was a very reduced amount. But now again, I did say for the 3 periods, so basically 75 cents per period, but his numbers were pretty easy because he was giving me the numbers. I was just plunking into our spreadsheet, then giving that other form back, the one from Juliet. So I felt okay with that. It didn't take me that long. And I'm not going to search the numbers because he's the one that's on the ADP. So he has to go find all the hours. But going forward, now that they've extended it, I'm going to be charging. And that's where I'm stuck because I don't know how much to charge. $150 for 3 months. No, not doing that again.
Well, and I think it also doesn't become just about the time, because you mentioned the time, because you're right, with the way we've kind of like the calculation in the sheet and stuff that we've got all pulled together that we use in Bootcamp that like most everybody on the call has gotten, that yeah, it doesn't take that long after you've got your main calculations. Like, yeah, I could bang through it in 15 minutes and then it takes a few minutes to file, but that's not really, it's kind of where's the value? So let's take it back to the value conversation. Where's the value to the client? The value to the work, the value from the knowledge that we've got from learning all about it and all of that too, right? So it's, a few different.
I'm just with Tanya.
Like, I know whatever she charges, I'll charge.
That's my value. I know Tanya, you don't.
But Tanya, I think you brought up an interesting point when you said at the beginning,
yes,
it was because you expected a drop in their business and you were basically replacing one set of workload with another set of workload. And there you would not have a change in the value that you were bringing to the client, right? They were still going to see value and work was still going to be completed for them. But now as these companies are starting to reopen, the replaced work is going to start to grow back again. So now there is that expectation that you do need to start charging them because there is an increase in scope, right? Before I would call it a change in scope. Now it's an actual increase in scope of work, right? And I think that can be your foundation for saying that we now need to charge for this.
Well, and especially when we don't know how long this is going to go on for, and and then helping them with what they need for the auditing on the SEBA loans. And again, I know that the PPP is being extended in the States, and I've seen talk, and I don't really, again, I'm focusing more on Canada because of course that affects my clients and me, but I've seen, and so Jessica could probably add to this too, but the PPP, it looks like they're either talking or announced that at least a portion is going to become forgivable. Is that right, Jessica? Or
when it comes to PPP, I've reached a point that until final guidance is issued, I don't care anymore. Like, I'm not looking at all the articles. I'm not looking at the interim interpretation. I am not watching the YouTube videos that my colleagues are making because it changes so often. It changes more often than I change clothes, it feels like sometimes. So right now, Congress, the Senate passed a bill that would definitely change, the forgivable terms and how much time you have to spend it. But until the president signs it, I am acting as if it doesn't apply, because it really doesn't. Because I just don't have time for speculation, and it's so much to keep track of. The guidance has changed so many times that when my clients tell me, I just give them the link to the latest published guidance. And I say, if you heard something and it's not here, don't count on it yet. Yeah. But yes, it's probably coming.
So what type of, is there a lot of extra work because again, I don't know a lot about the programs down there. It sounds like they're mostly either loans or just checks cut and sent to everybody. Whereas us, we have to, to get the wage subsidy, we have to, it's a certain percentage of the wages, and we have to make sure that there's a drop in revenue of, a certain percentage. And so are your guys as complex as that requires a lot of extra work and then potential auditing? Or
to get forgiven, yes. To apply for the loan, it wasn't that hard at all, but the application to request forgiveness, that got complicated. And it gives two different ways of calculating FTE to determine how much of your payroll you can apply for forgiveness and how much it will count based on the number of employees that you have. There are some payroll taxes that are not included in the calculation. So that aspect does have some extra work to be done. Depending on the client's payroll company, some of them have stepped up and created custom reports that already does the math for you, which is great. But if you're doing the payroll in-house or you're using a payroll provider that is not that proactive, then yes, it's extra work, and it's something I would definitely charge for. It's not something that you'll do in 5 minutes.
Yeah, because I know what Deb has said, that Stripe is doing that.
Probably Square does payroll, and I know Gusto is, because my clients with Gusto, I haven't really had to do much for their PPP tracking. I mean, yeah, I'm tracking by class just in case. I am very fortunate that I don't do taxes. I am very happy with that decision I made years ago because for a lot of my clients is like hot potato. I'm like, CPA, here you go. That's your problem.
Yeah. So then what's your standpoint or your thoughts on charging? Because it sounds like, again, they're similar. We've got different rules, different legislation, different ways of doing it. But at the end of the day, whether you're Canada or the States, there's still a lot of work that needs to be, done to make sure there's proper calculations. And in the case of an audit, that, you pass and everything's done correctly. So what's your standpoint then? What's your thought on charging or not charging for the extra work?
Bottom line, I charge. I use value pricing, so I have a very clearly defined scope of service. And if the client needs something that is not in the scope, it's extra. Now, I am not being greedy or anything like that. I am flexible for clients that had zero income or very low income. I worked at a deferred arrangement. other clients, they were not really suffering that much. Some of them applied for the loans because they could, not because they needed them. So for those, I definitely charged payable due immediately, and they were fine with it. The only thing that I haven't been charging for is any client that needs rush processing. Say, if I have a client where my standard deadline to complete their books is the end of the month, but they're trying to apply for a loan from the bank, and the bank asked them for a recent report, and I need to finish their books faster, I am waiving that fee, but I am letting them know that it's waived. They get a 0 invoice saying rush fee, discount due to COVID, and they can see how much I'm giving away, because I am building that, oh my God, I just lost the word, but you're building that goodwill with the client. They'll remember that, oh, she took care of me last time when things were rough.
Yeah. Well, and I agree with that. I feel very strongly, which is why I didn't charge in the beginning, because you're right. First off, some people, there was less work coming in, there was whatever. I didn't want to get into, lowering or discounting rates. So, exactly, gave that back. And it was building the goodwill with the clients, because if you can help them through the worst business crisis they've been through in their life, they're going to be loyal forever. It's going to take a lot to make them leave you. So yeah, you've got that. Absolutely. But I also think you bring up a really valid point, which I know I was doing, maybe not necessarily at first, but to make sure they know it's not in the scope, that if you're waiving it. So I didn't necessarily put like a discount on it. Like I did for a few things. I put like a COVID discount, like for Bootcamp. I'm like, yeah, we'll do this, get whatever, throw that in there, call it the COVID discount. But otherwise I was like talking to the clients and just saying, you know what, this is not in the normal scope, but I'm going to do it because, I recognize that, you might not have a lot of stuff coming in. I want to help keep your business afloat, because, my whole, philosophy around it is, if I can keep your businesses all afloat and running, then my business stays afloat by default. Right. So yeah, but it's really important that they know it's at a scope if you're not charging for it, because otherwise they start to expect it. Or again,
yes, you don't want to set that precedent, because then they'll be, oh, well, last time you did this and it didn't cost extra, and I just do not want to open that door.
Good fences make good neighbors, and good rules and expectations are great with clients. And that's why there's sometimes if we draw a line in the sand on a client, and we find they're taking advantage of things, if it says that their callback time is 24 to 48 hours, even if we're free that one day, we won't call them back, because we know they start to expect it. We have reset. They're not just like, oh yeah, you had a chance. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, you were able to take time today. It's like all of a sudden they start calling you and be like, well, I left a message 2 hours ago. Well, your contract says 24 to 48. But now you've reset their expectations, it's really scary sometimes with the wrong people.
You have to, because otherwise they do expect it.
Yep.
Or they think they can call at 6:30 at night or on a weekend.
Yeah.
I had a sales call come in on Saturday, and Jerry was beside me. I said, oh, look at this, maybe a new lead, blah, blah, blah. He goes, aren't you going to answer them? I'm like, no. He goes, why not? I go, because it's 12:30 on Saturday. He goes, well, but that shows you're interested. I said, no, that then shows them that I work on weekends. I'll set up in 17 hats, and it'll go out Monday morning at 8 a.m.
Yeah. I love that scheduled feature. I do it all the time, because even as a prospect, I don't want them to get used to me replying outside of business hours.
Absolutely.
So I may be working at night or on the weekend, but I schedule it to go on the next business day, and they'll be none the wiser.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so important. And that's, any, bookkeepers that, I'm working with in Bootcamp, or even having like conversations like this, like when you go to, conferences, or just, whatever, just picking each other's brains. That is a conversation that comes up a lot, about that. And it's, I just, if they say they'll do something, I find like I jump into, the why mode, right? Like I just jump all of a sudden like into like the, Tanya Bootcamp mode, and I'll be like, so why do you do that? Why? And I may start going into it, and then they're like, well, because, I just had time. I was working on Saturday, so I thought I'd respond to it. Okay, but why? And then we start digging, and I'm like, but now you realize you've reset that client's expectations, and they're going to expect you to email on Saturdays all the time, rather than it just being the exception. And then they're like, oh, I learned that the hard way. I used to do it too. I learned the hard way, right? So, yeah. Yeah, well, that's interesting. So so Jennifer and Stacy and Kathy then, I guess, because Kathy, you kind of responded a little bit like on the charging. So yeah, what do you guys, but I guess you really haven't been affected too much because of your niche, have you, Kathy, on that
My
part?
clients can't apply.
So there we go. There we go. So
Don't ask me any questions about it. I haven't had to worry about it, but I've still been busier than all heck. So go figure, right?
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Jennifer and Stacy then, I guess.
So I haven't actually started doing it, and I haven't really gone from charging by the hour to the packaging, which is what we're working through with. But yeah, it'll be part of my per hour
So
charge.
you'll be getting compensated. And you know, and that's, I have to say, that is the one thing that I'm grateful for. Those 4 clients that are still hourly billed. Because like I said earlier, I don't resent them for it, where I'm starting to resent, and it's not, and I know it's not the client's fault. It's our situation, but yeah.
And it'll be, I don't have a lot of clients asking me about it. I just have the one who has 4 companies, so that's complicated. But the more I'm learning about it, the more I realize I'm going to reach out to some and say, hey, you know, we can do this for you, or have you looked at that? One thing I was going to ask you about, changing subjects just slightly, is has there been a change to the CEBA as to who can apply?
Officially, no, but I do have information on that. I know it's coming. It is coming. I'm expecting next week. The reason being is because Marnie Stretch was in a call. I haven't made it to any of the government calls I was scheduled on in the last probably almost 2 weeks, but Marnie Stretch was on a call, and I was talking with Marnie yesterday, and she said that the call she was on, they said it is coming more like days, not weeks. This week is obviously out. Weeks would be into the following week. So therefore, by default, I'm expecting next week.
Yeah, so I'm thinking there's a handful of clients I'm going to reach out to once that comes and say, hey, this is now available to you. I have a few clients that are in the beauty industry, you know, nails and hair, and that haven't opened yet in Alberta, but are gearing up to that. So of course that 40,000 would help a lot with that.
Absolutely, it would.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, but that is still.
But they don't qualify because they don't have payroll. Like
Right.
they're just kind of a one-woman shop, so that's not working for them. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
No, but that is, yeah, that is coming, and I'm expecting from what I heard next week. Again, who knows? Yes. So sorry, Carol. Thinking, yeah, Carol just popped in about the survey. So yeah, the survey, we do have a survey. Anybody in Canada watching, we have a survey I've been working with Intuit on. It is going out. The BBB is excited to help. I actually haven't responded back to him. I'll respond back to him this weekend, Carol, like tonight or tomorrow.
And that's fine. It was just, it came up and I thought I better put a note to you so I don't forget again.
Yeah, because it's awesome that the BBB is going to send us out, because we've all been getting, you know, from the CFIB up here in Canada anyway, the surveys. But my conversation with them is they're still missing out. They're still missing out. Let's say you have, let's just look at the bookkeepers, you know, or any type of similar subcontractor that deals with services like we do. You're working from home. You don't have payroll. You're a sole prop. So, you know, because you're working from home, you don't have $40,000 in payroll, in rent, and in software fees, because you bill those software fees out to your client. You're still hitting a reduction in income. You're still not qualifying for much. You still can't get a loan. You can't get the CEWS. You can't get the CERB. Where does that leave you? And there's a lot of us and a lot of our clients in very similar situations. And so that's why I said to CFIB, I said, when you guys go out, you don't look at demographics as to who is a sole prop, who is non-corp. You don't look at demographics as to who is a family-run business and who is not, or who is a commercial and who's working from their home. You're not looking at those demographics. Therefore, the answers you're getting on the surveys are not really helping. So yeah, I've been working with Intuit on a survey for that. They have a survey department, and actually, yeah, I haven't even checked my email at all this afternoon, but yeah, hopefully it was going to go next week. So the Better Business Bureau, hopefully it'll go into all their Canadian resident or Canadian members, which is 30,000, which again, most of those are probably businesses that are falling through the cracks. So when this comes out, it's, you know, send it to your clients, send it, ask your clients to send it to people who, you know, again, that they know would fall through the cracks. IPBC is going to be submitting this. We actually have somebody directly there at Parliament who is interested in our results because they acknowledge we know the small business better than anybody else, and we have connections with the small business into it, sending it out as far as Anna said she thought she could get approval to send it out to all the Canadian Pro Advisors and 40,000 of their small businesses as well. So I would love to see 10 to 20,000 responses. I've heard from people that do surveys and say that's very, very lofty and that 1% is the average, but I still think that we can do it because this is so important and it could actually make change because Parliament wants to see our results. So yeah, when that comes out, hopefully it's going to be next week. Like, please just forward it, send it. Like, the more people that fill it in, the better for that, because that's how we can make change. Anyway, Stacy, back to you. Sorry.
So back a little bit to the original question, which was, are we charging more for the added value? I haven't. Now I have 3 payrolls that we are dealing with Sue's. They have 1 and 2 people on them each, and they are salaried. Like, I'm not having to deal with laying someone off, pulling them back. Sorry, 1 payroll we do, but they only had 2 people on it. Like, it wasn't it wasn't really a big, once we got the process down, it wasn't really big. And the loyalty that I am getting back from those clients is ginormous. The ones that I am dealing with, they're sitting back going, you are absolutely the essential service. So there's no, and as for the calculation for the CBA loan, like what's going to be deferrable and what's not, that's now just sort of part of my month-end reporting package, whether I give it to them or not. Like, it's part of what I do. And at the end of the day, yeah, it's a little extra work, but if and when we're going to be audited, those are my books, and it's to cover my butt rather than actually giving it to the client. So I know it's added value to them, but that wasn't what I was doing it for. So no, and out of
protection.
Well, and I
Yeah.
agree with you on the SEBA. If it was just the SEBA, I wouldn't either. My clients have just said the SEBA because the way that I'm doing it, we know there's like 5 things that they qualify for. We pull the profit and loss, boom, boom. Like, I can sit there and I can do it just like at the end of the year. Do it like, pull it out to Excel, like a quick customize the report, whatever. It can be done very, very quickly.
Yeah.
So it's more so the SKUs.
Yeah.
My one client was done in a month and a half. Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paid, done.
Yeah.
Can I get any more money? Nope.
Yeah. Any new client and out of those 3 payrolls that I do, one of them happens to be an hourly person. Yeah. I know we're going to talk about that next week, but one of them still happens to be an hourly person, so they're getting charged. The other 2 that were value pricing, the amount of time that I added in to calculate their SUs was offset by their closure or by their changes that have happened. So I see the reasoning as to why we should be charging.
But again, like you say, if they're salary, they're 2 people, you've only got 3 clients. I really wouldn't worry so much about that. Like my situation, I'm still spending all week long between researching, updating, talking to other people, still helping the business clients through doing their SKUs. I mean, I'm hoping that within 2 weeks, it's only going to take up, a couple of hours a week, but it's still it's still going to take up because again, there's more complex clients, they're bringing some back. They're, all over the place.
Yeah. Well, and my phone calls, I noted this week, my phone calls, even my emails were nothing this week. I'm kind of waiting. I'm like, oh, it's Friday. No one's phoned me yet. Am I going to have like 12 phone calls today? Nope, nothing. So I don't know if it's the nice weather. Everybody just wants to go outside or what, but it's giving me a little bit of breathing room.
Well, and that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just glad like that this weekend is the last of tax season. officially the last weekend I'm going to even care about doing stuff. Because it's our last deadline weekend, right? And well, I guess not technically, but, and you know, I mean, after that, it should be able to just get down to a little bit more of a regular workflow. So, yeah, absolutely. So, hello, Matthew. Matthew Fulton is with us. He's multitasking, so can't join us. He wanted to listen and say hello. So, Matthew, if you get a second, even afterwards, I'd love for you to maybe type in the chat because I'd love to hear his feedback on this. And oh, you saw my Gilligan Island video mocking the PPP. I have not. I think we need to watch it then. Okay, now I really have to go watch it. So yeah, he says his phone's been very silent and happy. And that's great. But what I'd love to hear your opinion on, Matthew, is the charging. So that's kind of what we were talking about before you joined on here, is charging, because I know basically whether you're Canada or the States, there's still a certain amount of work that, you know, additional work we're doing for the clients to make sure they're compliant, helping them apply for things, helping, you know, above and beyond, like outside of our normal scope of work. So basically the question was, you know, how do you guys feel about charging? I wasn't charging initially. It was all meant to initially offset the work that wasn't coming in so that I could justify not changing the price and still give them value. And Christine's there with us, so we'll hear her opinion in a moment. I didn't want to force you to come on camera if you weren't ready, Christine. But
Sorry,
yeah,
I was just eating lunch, so
that's good. That's good. But then so Matthew, and then just now, because in Canada we're extending again. It's being extended, so now it's going a lot longer for some of the subsidies, which is going to, oh, and Matthew's here anyway, so he's decided to come in and just answer this. So while Matthew's coming in, then Christine, you heard that, so what's kind of your thoughts on how you've been dealing with that?
Did somebody mention money?
Money, we did. Okay, so we'll ask Matthew, then he can go, then jump back to Christine in case. So yeah, so I'd love to hear your thought process then on with regards to charging, because whether you're Canada or the States, we're helping our clients with doing additional out of scope work, helping them manage, navigate the loans, the PPPs, the compliance, you know, the applications, the tracking, all of this extra stuff. So I know Hector Garcia at one point when I was on like Friday Night Live, probably a month or so ago, he was saying that no, he charges for all of it, at a scope he charges. I was of the other camp that I'm like, no, it's to build loyalty. Clients weren't giving me more work, so it was giving them value. But I'm kind of starting to shift because in Canada, they've now taken this and they've extended it all. Okay, now it's going to go to the end of August. So now it's kind of like, okay, now I have to draw the line because the work is coming back in. Places are starting to open. It's really going to be out of scope, a lot more work. And then there's a huge amount of value in it. So yeah, we're just kind of throwing that up for conversation to find out everybody's opinion. So yes.
Christine, please go first. I didn't mean to interrupt where you were going, so please feel free to go first.
Worries. So I think I'm along the same lines as you, Tanya, is I kind of like was just in there in the trenches with my clients as like everything hit them and just empathy went out. But at the end of the day, if I'm spending 10 to 12 hours basically doing bookkeeping and getting paid for 6, it's not working for me and I'm actually losing money. And then like you said earlier, there's no, you know, like how do I get that back from the government? I'm not. So I have to charge it to the clients because I'm not getting paid. And I know that it's not fair in some ways. Like, I mean, their doors are closed, but I can't keep giving of myself. I've just actually came off of a little bit of time off because I hit the wall and I just needed to, you know, get some balance back in my life after just giving too much away to the clients.
Well, I saw you went camping, so that's awesome. I'm glad you took things for yourself. But it is, and that's where I'm getting. I'm starting to feel, you know, again, like I said, resentful. And it's not the client's fault. It's not the world's fault. And I shouldn't feel that way, but I am. So that's kind of why it's, again, like go back to Seth David. What's your get out of bed price? What's going to make you happy to get out of bed? So there has to be a way, especially when we're helping clients get money, whether it be a forgivable portion of the loan, whether it be, you know, subsidy coming back. We're helping them get more money from the government by doing what we're doing. But you're right, there's no benefit in it for us. So yeah. So, okay, so Matthew, yeah, what's your thoughts?
So I'm angry at the government. I actually US wise, I really think we should all band together and have a class action lawsuit against the government and the SBA or the PP, whoever it is that we have to sue, somebody like that. Not
Right.
the banks necessarily. That one's already going, but the other one. I'm jealous that yours is only going to be going till August. If our president signs this most recent PPP Flexibility Act, we're looking all the way through December 31st. And here's the craziest part, especially focused on the idea of around charging. My gut tells me we're going to have one of two things. Either this entire thing is a whole scam to basically get the debt from federal unemployment pushed back onto small business owners, and there will be like next to no forgiveness because the lenders won't do it. Or we will end up seeing that I think they will adapt some form of a 150 or less, or take whatever the average loan size is of the PPP for the US and just automatically forgive that.
Right.
So I think that's great for everybody. But now let's consider the fact when they do that, it's going to be in 3 or 4 months. So now that also means all of this work and all this time that's been spent trying to stay up to date and recalculate all this stuff is going to go out the window, because it's just going to be, you're forgiven. It's going to be like,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because in Canada, so our loan forgiveness, because our payroll is different. So our loan forgiveness is actually to December 31st. But what they've done is instead of, extending or certain amounts, it's just, hey, flat fee, 40,000, you get the money all at once, and 25%, up to 25% is forgivable, providing we can prove it's been spent on non-deferrable operating expenses, rent, payroll, utilities, whatever. So that's the easy part. So that's till the end of the year, but that's real easy. You can set it up with classes. You can like pull a P&L. Again, tracking for that is easy, and especially because you apply once, which is the difference in you guys. Our payroll is in the way of a wage subsidy. 75% of payroll on some people, up to a certain percentage of your baseline pay that was paid out at the beginning, like all these, again, different rules. And this is where the confusion comes in, is every single month we have to reapply based on their revenue loss. They have to have a certain revenue loss to qualify for this. So we've got to do that. Then look at, now, are they hiring furloughed employees to keep them connected with payroll? Because they can do that, and then they're going to get, like more back. They'll get the pension back and the EI back and all these other taxes that they paid. Or so again, that's where it gets confusing. That's where I'm like, every month we have to requalify. We have to relook at this. Those rules are changing, and this is where I think this is going to end up being extended beyond August. So again, there's still a lot more work involved any way you look at it, right?
But I love the fact that it is ironically, the fact it's every month feels like it's more direct help.
It is to get the money quicker. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was just talking to Sherry Lee about this, and she was educating me a little bit more about it, that basically, if you initially start off and you basically applied for March, April, and then in April, if you met the requirements, that was what you used for May. So it's like you're always kind of, you're applying for the next month to get that money, if I'm saying it the correct way.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's interesting in comparison to where, if you boil it all down, we're still doing the same things in certain ways, right? The whole, we've got the FTE count is the big deal down here. Full-time equivalent based at 40 hours, even though for healthcare, it's at 30 hours. So there's confusion there. And then the percentage changes, and it's a horrible, horrible thing because they keep changing the rules so much.
Well, yeah. And the one thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I'm following like 90% Canada and 10%, like when I've got a few minutes, I pay a little bit attention to the States. But, and I'm sure I've had these conversations with Jessica, and I think even you, when you were on here last time, that the PPP loans are being decided by the banks, not by the government. So therefore, the small businesses that truly need it are not necessarily getting it, because the banks are basically looking at who's our biggest investors type of thing, right?
They did actually, yes. So they did a pretty good job after everybody complained like crazy on the round 2 of the PPP, and they got the average loan size down. And we saw a lot of businesses like right a week, 2 weeks after that started getting funding. So we have 15 of our clients that we're handling PPP for. And they average, probably the average size for our clients is about $60,000 for our
Okay.
clients.
Okay.
So
Well,
I'm excited to see that.
good. That's good because it's getting to where it needs to get. Because that's really frustrating. Because in Canada, the government just said, here's the qualifications. The bank is going to do it. The government is going to back it. So it's not a matter of the bank doesn't get to pick and choose. It's you have to hit these qualifications, which is this much paid out in payroll. You have to have this. Like that's it. It is black and white, which is I like that because then again, there's no favoritism and everybody gets that. But people were still falling through the cracks and they're still expanding and still trying to help. But that's good that that's fixed.
So to circle back to your question though,
Yes.
about the like, how are we charging?
Right.
Same struggle as everybody else. What we initially did is because again, we weren't allowed to as agents, blah, blah, blah. We set up and we charged a $500 document collection charge. And that was the initial part of it. And that was so we could help them through the initial application process, right? That we still lost our butts on that for time wise, but we're only talking about for our clients and we take care of family first. And I'm okay with it that way.
Yeah.
Now, since then, the way that we've tried to make this actually work well for us, I have been busting my rear to try to stay on top of this stuff. But while I've been doing it, I've been making presentations so I could try to turn around and like sell them to larger payroll companies as webinars, because that way we could kind of offset some of the money we wouldn't be charging our clients. And it's a triple dip in a sense, right? So we have to get this knowledge to help our clients, help the businesses. Then we can also help, we can help our fellow accountants, hopefully, by making sure that they were getting quality information and still getting some pay to do some webinars, hopefully, as that pans out. We are charging a minimal hourly. We said we are charging, and people know that we're charging a diminished hourly for the time we have to spend tracking this stuff. But again, like, what are we going to do when this thing, if it does end up being that they decide to just flat forgive it all? I mean, we're also charging recommendations on Google and Yelp and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's the future income is a big part of it. But if it was somebody new, yeah, we would definitely be charging. And if we're consulting on it now, which now I feel confident we can because we've put in the time, that we do charge for, because that's not our clients.
Yeah. No, and that makes perfect sense. And you're right. Like, if you're just charging, you're losing. But again, you said that's your investment in your future. If you're still giving some goodwill, and that's great. I think all of us are at this age. But you're right, the knowledge that some of us have. Because of all the time that we've spent on all of this, like I'm on government calls, except for the last 2 weeks, every single week, but I've still been on other calls, and you're still constantly learning and all of this other stuff. And I don't know if I'm arrogant saying this, but I like to think that because of all the knowledge I have, I'm probably amongst the top 100 people in Canada that are not like immediately a part of it on the knowledge level on this. Because of the amount of hours, I'm probably putting at least half of my week just into learning this to be able to do that. So that education, that's got to be worth something, right? I mean, and again, trying to share it out for everybody else in the industry that doesn't have the team to back them like I have a team. Right. So
it makes me realize I thought about going to law school before, and I've always talked about the power of words. I now understand there's actually a good reason for my OCD when it comes to like writing. It's paid off, being able to like read in deeper to like, wait a second, if this is an and or an or, and actually really the biggest reason I've learned the most, it's been the community. There's a staple of people that we will back and forth, question each other on different ideas. And what if this angle or what if that angle, so we can share those concepts. And that's been so powerful, powerful.
Absolutely. Well, up in Canada, we've got a weekly call, it was 3 times a week, and now it's twice a week with our Canadian Intuit TWN, which is a trainer writer network for people that don't know about it. But you're in the TWN as well too, right? So yeah, so we've got the Canadian call. It started off just to check in. That has turned out to be, no, this is what we do. So Tiffany Stewart, she definitely has more knowledge than I have on this, because her and I, she's got a Bible of the legislation and lots of tabs.
Don't ever challenge Tiffany on stuff like this. Don't ever.
Like I say, if I'm in the top 100, she's in the top 10. Like, absolutely. Marnie Stewart's been getting, Stretch has been getting on the calls, so that's what we do. We meet up on these calls. We all share the information. We're like, okay, let's pull out the legislation. Did you understand this? Do you understand this? And then, of course, then I've got, like we've talked about it here. And then when I talked about it, like on, our boot camp, we're meeting once a week again to try to help support, my boot camp community through this, because it's so overwhelming. And those of us that are lucky enough to have teams and to have the time to look into this, yeah, we should be sharing back with the rest of the industry. And I appreciate everybody that's helped me share back. Kathy has been a huge resource with me just because she's an Excel genius. So her and I have sat together going through all of this Excel. I know you're in Excel. You love Excel too. You guys
I'm like, Kathy, let's talk.
So it's like, and I love our communities, that we have. And, it's yeah. And you're right. The community has been huge.
I am so bummed about QuickBooks Connect. And I know I just changed the subject, but I have really enjoyed coming up to Canada every year for this thing. And
you'll be back next year.
Of course you did, because Canada is awesome.
Yeah.
I just like to party with pink vodka. No. Oh, he wasn't here.
No, he wasn't here for that or for that one. No.
Okay.
But no,
Tanya likes to party with pink vodka.
So for those who don't know, we have Matthew, Linda, and Jacob. So Linda Artesini and Jacob Schroeder. I don't even know how it started with you guys. It just put like a GoFundMe. Somebody said that, and then Andrew tags me, and of course I had just been in Nurses Firm of the Future, so he's $100. I'm like, well, I gotta throw in $100. Next thing you know, the three of them, we got tickets and they came up here, and it was awesome because it's like to be able to see it and experience it, in a smaller, it's more intimate because there's less people. So yeah, let's talk about that then, because San Jose has been canceled too. So let's talk about like what you felt the differences were.
Well, can I real quickly show you the Gilligan video?
Do. Yes, please do. Yes.
Oh, yes, please.
Everybody's familiar with Gilligan's Island, I'm sure, right?
Of course we are. Oh, yeah. Of course we are.
And obviously it's not quite the same for you guys, but I could make a Canadian version.
Right back and you'll hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic port aboard this tiny ship. The mate was a mighty sailing man, the skipper brave and sure. 5 passengers set sail that day for a 3-hour tour. A 3-hour
Because it takes 3 hours to do the PPP. Why?
The weather started getting rough, the tiny ship was tossed. If not for the courage of the fearless crew, the minnow would be lost. The minnow would be lost. The ship's aground on the shore of this uncharted desert isle, with Gilligan, the skipper too, the millionaire and his wife, a movie star, and the rest are here on Gilligan's Island.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, Matthew, you have to post that so I can share it on my Facebook page.
It's on my profile, but yeah, I'll put it in the link for you.
I have a brother who lives in the States and he's unfortunately a Trump lover. So
I love that. Can I share that in our bookkeeper corner?
Please. Yeah. We got to find ways to have some fun, and this thing has sucked. There's just no other way to say it, right?
No. It has. And I think the part that frustrates me the most is that still, and I don't need public recognition, but when some of our clients, like I just had a client last week that I almost fired because she like got really snarky. It's like, well, what do you mean? You can't do this. You guys are like too big for your britches and dealing with like things you've got no time for me. And it's like, what, or people, going, well, I don't understand why you're so busy and complaining, Tanya. Tax deadline's been extended. What else is there for you to do? And it's like the whole Linda Blair thing. The head goes in circles. And it's like, my sister is a nurse, and of course, we don't have it as bad up in Canada as that you guys do in the States. I 100,000% acknowledge that.
I don't want to win that competition. It's totally fine. Like, I'm not happy winning that competition.
But so she's a nurse, and in Belleville, we've had like 34 cases. we've got 2 current cases. So she's on the COVID backup
Awesome.
team at the hospital, but we're 3 hours at a city, right? So, but she's in the COVID backup team and still hasn't been called in. But still, she knows she could be called in at any moment. It could blow up any moment. And she has told me that she is glad through this that she has her job and not mine. You know it's bad when the medical community is being like, phew, we're in the good place.
I have been very fortunate. I actually had one of my clients. She goes, I don't know how you guys are doing it, because she goes, you're trying to absorb all of this. You're trying to keep us sane. You have 2 kids at home, and also trying to make sure that they're educated and the whole bit. And so I'm really thankful that I have had far more of my clients start off in that position rather than start off in the Linda Blair position where I'm having to talk them out of the tree.
Yeah, we've had 2 like that too.
Yeah.
One tax client, one bookkeeping client. I fired the bookkeeping client. The tax client came back just before I fired her. She came back and actually apologized.
I was going to say, I have one I'm about to push over a cliff personally, but
Yeah.
the rest have all been really, really good. You know who you are.
You know, this is what I've said since the beginning, that this is going to do a lot of things. It's going to have us revisit who our ideal client is, because you're going to start to see, you know, things that, you know, you had maybe hadn't seen before, or maybe you had overlooked of clients' behaviors before. And it's really going to, I think, elevate our profession and really separate, you know, the top from the bottom. I really think it's going to show the difference between that. You know, and the only negative side I see to this on the our professional side really is I've already started to see it here, that we've got new people that are going, oh, look, the accounting or the bookkeepers, they're still, so we'll say the bookkeepers, because bookkeeping in Canada is not regulated, you know, like accounting is. So anybody can just say, hey, I can balance a checkbook. I'm a bookkeeper. There are a lot of fly by night kitchen table bookkeepers. And when I say kitchen table, I don't mean people that really know that what they're doing, working at their kitchen table, because that was me. But the people that, again, oh, I can balance my checkbook, I can do what you do, that are jumping in and trying to do it, that are, you know, charging $25 an hour and trying to undercut us all when they really don't know what they're doing and they're going to mess it up. So,
but don't get mad at that. Don't get mad at that, because that's what generates more revenues for us afterwards when it needs to get fixed.
It really shows our value. Well, it's funny. I fired a client and they end up going to Tamitha. And so I filled her in because, of course, like we're like a couple blocks from each other. We're the only 2 that really work in the cloud. So this will happen a lot. And the client was, you know, getting a little nasty with me. And I'm like, you know what? Done. I'm, you know, exercising my right to cancel the contract. We're done. And I was charging her $305 a month. She got Tamitha for $500 a month. So I said, Tamitha, I'm like, was that enough of, make sure it was enough of a P to fee. I said, like, here it is. Here's everything you need to know. Here's how to work with her well. Here's the personality she'll get along with well. We're just done with it. So yeah, she put 5. It's really only about an hour work a month. The rest of it was software and P to fee. But I'm like, there better be enough of a P to fee. But guess what? The only other choice in town fired her. So yeah, Tamitha's got, you know, an hour work for $500 a month. I let her keep all my bank rules. We sent her our SOPs. We sent her everything. We're like, yep, we'll help you out. Here you go.
That's the power of the community too. Like I can tell you, when I started getting into social media, I had no idea that we would start getting referrals from other accountants around the United States. And that's just been awesome. And we can do the same thing, and we can warn each other about, like, you know, like, that's not a good one, that kind of thing.
Exactly. I pre-warned her and I said, that's up to you. If you want to do it, no problem. And she threw in enough of the P to fee, because she figures that now, after this client being fired, a different person, different expectations, because again, we let that line in the sand continuously get pushed. She's not going to let it get pushed. And so therefore it will be different experience right up front, but enough of a P to fee built in.
Thank you so much for letting me jump in. I got to bounce over my next, but
yeah, we've gone
thank you,
way over.
everybody. Stay healthy, stay
Awesome.
sane.
Thanks, you too, Matthew. Take care. Bye. All right. Yeah, so we are way over, but thank you, everybody. It was a great conversation today. So that's awesome. And thank you, Christine, for joining us after your lunch.
Thank you. No, it was actually good timing because I was actually sitting on the fence. What do I do with all of the time I'm putting out, and have been watching the industry's conversation, and some people in the industry outraged at the thought of us charging. And I'm just thinking, I can't just keep giving my life away to my clients for free. I just can't.
No, we can't, because, it's our mental health, it's our physical health, it's,
Yeah.
all of this is declining, on top of all of that. And, we've already given 3 months worth of, and this is actually most of it has already happened. Most of what you have given is already happened. You're helping them through. At this stage, any business that was going to close, I hate to say it, is probably going to close. Any business is going to reopen is going to reopen. It's, it is what it is at this point. But most of the work is already, like, you've already given them more than enough value. So don't let anybody, and even those people that I knew were charging when I felt not to, that was my choice. You should feel justified in what you did. Carol's been charging right since the beginning. Absolutely, that is fine to do that.
Some of them I haven't, but I didn't charge for the research because technically, and I said I haven't charged for the research because I'm doing it as a collaboration with a group of colleagues, right? So for me, I didn't charge for that because essentially I really didn't do the research. I'm just gleaning off of you guys. But in order for me to do it, I still have to go in and pull all the numbers. I have to double check the numbers. I got to triple check the numbers. And like I said, with the QBO, with the employees' names not staying in the same order every single time, I got to redo it every time.
And bottom line,
no, I'm charging for that.
If it's not in the scope of your contract, like if your contract says we'll cover everything, but if it then, okay, maybe they kind of got you there, or
it wasn't invented then, so you can't say it was part
exactly. Well, and that's exactly, all our contracts are very specific, right? So, yeah. And so if it's not in the contract, it's not in the scope of work. Yeah. You have every right to charge. If you went to a restaurant that said, here's one price for all you can eat buffet, and then they had drinks over here, do you think they would just say, oh, you know what? It's COVID. You're stressed out. Go and get all you can drink at the bar too.
And look at how many businesses are opening back up. And I'm not saying I have a problem with it, but how many businesses that are opening back up and they're charging a COVID fee to help them recoup, getting back on their feet with all the extra stuff they've had to put in place to be able to open up.
Oh, you got.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They're charging a what?
It's a COVID fee. You will see it especially when you go to a restaurant, when you go to
an extra tax.
Really?
A lot of them are doing it as a percentage.
Yeah, well, there is something. I'm just saying it's there. I mean, I took my son shopping yesterday. We went to Metrotown, which is a big mall in Burnaby. Now, a lot of the stores still were not open. For the size of that mall, I was surprised how many were still closed. But the ones that were open, all of them had little protective things. They only let so many people in at a time. You either had to have a mask or you had to use the hand sanitizer, hence the lovely scent I got. and everything it was over and over every place we went to, or like we went to Purdy's. Well, they only sell them by the box. They have no singles. They have no ice cream, just by the box. Now I don't have a problem buying a box, but
right.
So a lot of things have changed. It's not back to normal. It is a new normal. It's going to be completely different. And not every one of those places, but even I couldn't get my nails done because her protective shields aren't in yet, but I got my pedicure done and their rate went up a little bit. She said, I do have to charge a little bit more, to cover our new way of doing it because they only had 3 people in there as opposed to 6, right? No problem. Do my feet. Give me a massage. I don't care. I'll pay whatever you want.
Put in the background because I just want to show something. And if you look at every other industry,
Stacey, close your mouth.
Well, sorry. I don't know if it's because I'm in a different part of the country or if it's because really I don't go. My husband
haven't been out yet, but you will see when you go out. There are places and they are charging. They may not tell you, but of the places that I've gone to that have been service places, they have let me know, and it's the restaurants. It's all over the news that they're, especially in Vancouver, okay, but they will be charging an extra fee. Now, actually, even my husband, he always goes fishing at Tunqua, which is just up past Merritt there. On the weekend, you have to book for the two days. Right now, it's a 4-day minimum.
Well, and you look at, okay, this. So this, 236 or 234 milliliters, $1.50 before COVID.
Yeah, $8.
$9.50 or $9.75. Yeah, $9.75 for 1,000 milliliters. Four of these, more than double the price. We're not, when we're doing
That small one is $8 here. That small one is $8 here.
And we're doing everything for free and keeping our prices the same. We're getting money back for the clients. We're doing something that they need and we're doing it for free. So do not, Christine, let anybody, you tell them to call me.
Don't
If
call
they
me.
try to make you feel bad, you tell them to call me and I'll tell them to leave you the hell alone.
But I think that some of these companies that are doing this, because we've experienced a few of them here in Alberta, some of it's going to bite them.
Yeah.
Like, so my chiropractor's jacked his prices. He's jacking his massage prices. I went for a haircut this week. The price was the same.
Yeah.
And when I was done, I gave a significant tip.
Yep.
And she was in tears because of the tip I left. She's like, why did you do this? I said, small businesses need help.
Yep.
I can help you. I see, like, they actually renovated their space while they were closed. Like, they had bought the business. They were going to do it in December, got too busy. Going to do it in January, got too busy. Going to do it in February, got too busy. March comes along. Hey, we got time. They did it, right? So, but she just looked at me. She says, why did you do that? And I said, because you're a small business and you need my help.
Yeah.
I can help you. You're not trying to screw me as a customer because you got screwed. And I think for some businesses, they're going to find that if they jack their prices too much, or like I've seen 8% tax, like COVID tax, put onto receipts. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I might be suffering. I don't have the same income.
Yeah.
Right? If you're, all of a sudden we're living on CERB, or like for whatever reason as an individual, you're now just saying everybody has to help buy business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
right?
exactly.
And some people can't.
And so if you turn around and you've done free for 3 months and you charge something reasonable for the extra work that you're doing, you're not gouging, because I would never, I do not believe in gouging either, right? And not gouging, but yet charging reasonable for the extra time and the extra work that is not in your contract to do. You are still giving lots compared to a lot of other people out there. You're still building goodwill. And I think the way I'm going to be explaining it to my clients is like, listen, I gave it to you for free. We don't know how long this is going to go on for. I can't continue to do this at the same, like I can't continue to do it for free.
Right. And I think it becomes almost the thinking process in that, you almost, is like you invest in a client and they invest in you and you build a relationship. And this is just another piece that's in that scope, like for us to get any of our clients, we've made an investment into our knowledge and the tools we use. And this is another whole new one. So, I see the first few months as definitely an investment into learning everything, and now I just need to charge because I've got it dialed.
Yep, that's exactly it. Like when you were learning bookkeeping, and let's say you went out and you took on volunteer, like somebody out locally, you said, listen, I want to learn, I'll do your books for free because I want to learn. Would you still do their books for free 3 years down the road after you've learned? No, you wouldn't.
No.
You would turn and you would start charging for it. And this is no different. And there's a big difference between gouging and charging something appropriate. Yeah. So charge appropriately. If you feel yourself being talked out of it, call me. You know where to get me.
Many of my clients will talk me out of it. It's not that. It's just it was getting to this point. This was the perfect call for me to have time for. And I'm going to go update some invoices.
Awesome. Good stuff. I'm glad. I'm very glad. And thank you personally for the wine, by the way. I know we put it on Facebook. Yes. I've already drank 1.5 bottles. and I don't drink, I drink them all in one
Well, that was my thank you for all of the extra time you put in, and that I was just scooping those tools, and so appreciative to have resources like you guys to turn to. And I don't know how many times I'm stalking in the background, and looking up things on the Facebook of conversations like, oh, okay, that's how I do it. Thanks, Carol.
I like seeing your face. Come on more.
I will. It's all a time management thing.
Of course it is. All right. Well, we have gone over by half an hour. So I appreciate everybody who was watching. I appreciate everybody who stayed. I thought it was a wonderful conversation. So thank you everybody who contributed. I'm glad Matthew came on, Jessica. So we got a good feel about what they were doing in the States, because sometimes when there's more Canadians on the call, I feel really bad because we take over with Canadians and we probably have more American viewers than we do Canadians. So that was really good that we had Jessica and Matthew here. So.
All right. Everyone have a wonderful weekend.
Yes,
Bye.
you have a great weekend, everybody. Take care. Bye.
Bye.